Another month, the second last digest, and it is absolutely, without question, the shortest one that will ever happen. Um, because I consume basically nothing this month. Um, and one of the things, which is Attack on Titan, which will be the first thing here, I've already talked about twice, so this is going to be very short for that. Um, the Marvels, which is another thing that I've watched this month. I watched it in a cinema, so I didn't make any notes for it, so I have very little to talk about. And Loki season 2, I had quite a I watched it, but I wasn't too engaged in it, so let's just say that. So I didn't have too much to say on that either. So this is going to be incredibly short. But let's get just right into it, I guess. Elite Ari Media Digest stuff I finished November 2023. First up, we have Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapter, Special 2. It's an episode. It's an hour and 25 minutes long, basically the length of a movie. And I watched it on the 5th of November. And I watched it kind of delayed, I guess, because it came out. I don't actually remember when it came out, but I remember not watching it for like at least 12 hours after it came out for some reason, which is pretty crazy for me because I'm a big Attack on Titan fan, but I think I was very busy at the time. But anyway, this is the final episode of Attack on Titan, also known as Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapter, Special 2. And it was a 5 out of 5. You can, if you really want to know what I thought about this, go to the Riker 7 anime channel, and there's a very long, I guess right now it's only 2 hours, but there's going to be a multi-part discussion on that episode, and you'll get my overall thoughts and everything. But generally, I thought this was fantastic. It's a 5 out of 5. I'm a massive fan of the manga. I love the ending to Attack on Titan, and the anime did a very good job. It didn't change too much. It made a few changes, and most of the changes I thought were pretty good. Some of them were really good, and there was nothing where I was like, this is terrible. There were very minor changes, like for instance, I'm going to spoil it here, but the Levi Zeke scene, where say Zeke is, or when Levi charges and decapitates Zeke, basically, I thought that was done a bit less emotionally, or a bit less well in this anime. It was a bit more unclear. There's a few things like that throughout, but generally I thought it was really good. It's the most I've ever cried watching Attack on Titan. And I'm sad that it's over, I guess, but honestly, that's all I really have to say. Oh, wait, I actually do have 2 notes on this. One was to promote the Riker 7 anime channel. The other is that if for some reason, if you have only been an anime only and you're watching this and you're finally finished with the Attack on Titan anime, you should check out my videos, all right? They're manga videos about Attack on Titan. And for a long time, no one who had only seen the anime could watch them because they had a bunch of manga spoilers, especially about the ending. But guess what? You're done with the anime. That means you know the whole story of Attack on Titan. You can go watch them, all right? Start with the Mikasa one because was like Mikasa's headaches explained or something. Watch that because that'll explain exactly what's going on with her headaches, and it's the greatest video ever made. So go watch that. Anyway, that's Attack on Titan. Next up, the Marvels. So this is a movie, an hour and 45 minutes long. Honestly, not even that much longer than the last one, Attack on Titan. And I watched it on the 8th of November. But now that I think about it, an hour and 45 minutes sounds like way shorter than this was. So I don't know if that's wrong or if like it was just an incredibly boring movie that lasted for too long. I don't know. But I guess before I reveal my score, which maybe you already know because you skipped ahead, who knows? I want to preface this by saying that I loved Ms. Marvel, the TV show. All right, I would give that a 10 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10 if I was not being too charitable, but I would probably give it a 10 out of 10 out of my emotions in my heart. I think it's easily the best Marvel show that they've made. It would be better than Loki season 2. I think I absolutely enjoyed it the most. I mean, sorry, Loki season 1 even. I think it would be better than. I really liked Miss Marvel, both the TV show and the actual character. But I know that a lot of people don't like that show. I'm not sure why. Maybe because it's like I truly don't know why. Maybe the thing I was thinking is that it's a bit different. It's like focused on like teenage drama, not even teenage drama, but it's like the main character is like a teenage girl basically. So it's a bit different than the typical Marvel show. But I truly don't know why people don't like it so much. Anyway, that's my first thing to say, which is that I was incredibly excited when I heard about this movie, and I was very excited going into this movie because I love Miss Marvel. I'm like, hell yeah, Miss Marvel's finally getting at the movie that is gonna make her very well known, and everyone's gonna love her, and it's gonna be great. And the hate towards the TV show is gonna go away because everyone's gonna love her appearance in this. It's gonna be the greatest thing ever for the Miss Marvel character and story. So that was my first thing. All right. I was already basically so excited for this movie. No, actually, I wasn't. Honestly, I wasn't so excited. I was excited for this movie because I like Miss Marvel so much. I didn't watch any trailers. I knew nothing about this going into it. And I was going in with an open heart and an open mind. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I guess I also, it's a minor thing. I like Brie Larson as well. I have no issue with her. I know a lot of people have an issue with her. I like her a lot. And I like her a lot because she's a famous person who started a YouTube channel, and she just acts like herself. There's no like corporate like kind of speak, or there's no like, she's not trying to put on a persona or anything. It seems like she's genuinely trying to be herself at a YouTube channel, and she's doing like YouTube kind of content, not like Will Smith kind of like high production. We're going to do these weird, like wacky, famous celebrity things. She just seems like a very down to earth person. I like her a lot. So that's another thing going towards this movie, right? There was absolutely, I had a clean slate. I have no negative bias towards this movie. If anything, I have a very strong, like I was hoping for this movie to be good. Okay? This was a really bad movie. This is the worst movie I've seen this year by far. It's worse than Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. At least that was interesting somewhat. There were a few scenes, like for instance, when they're singing at the end, the opera. I thought that was really great. There were some funny bits in that. It was a good movie, despite being 1 out of 5, right? Relative to The Marvels, which was truly terrible. It was, I guess the word I would use to describe it is boring. Incredibly boring. I don't know how it happened. I don't know how it's so boring. It feels like it is truly, there must have been some production issues behind this. It feels like there's no story, there's no cohesion in different story elements, there's no ending to this movie. Weird random plot things happen. None of the characters are interesting, including Ms. Marvel, who is like one of my favorite characters in the entire MCU. She feels like a caricature in this. Her family as well feel like every line they say is meant to be like some comedic line or something, and it's like, Jesus, like this is not who they were in the show. Like this is not at all. It feels like this show was basically written completely independently of Miss Marvel or something. Or they had like the cliff notes of like, this is roughly like what the characters are in Miss Marvel. Anyway, yeah, this is terrible basically. Let me actually see what notes I have here. Overall, incredibly boring. Yeah, the jokes were bad. This movie focuses on the lamest gimmick, which is that all the characters swap places, basically. We have 3 main characters, which I didn't know there were 3. I thought there were only 2. But there was the person from WandaVision was here, who is like related to Ms. Marvel somehow. I don't know. I don't really remember. Not Ms. Marvel, sorry, Captain Marvel. I'm gonna mess that up a lot throughout this. I can already tell. I don't remember the first Captain Marvel that much, I guess, is my issue. I should probably rewatch that one day, but I thought it was okay, that movie. But anyway, those 3 main characters in this movie have a gimmick of when they activate their powers, they swap places. I think that's what the gimmick was. And the reason I say I think is that it was very inconsistent. And sometimes they would swap when they did the powers. And I feel like there was a scene where they explained that that's the case, or they like ran a test and it was like always, when they use their powers, they would swap. But sometimes they wouldn't. And I was like, huh, this is a bit weird, you know? Number 1, it's not interesting of a gimmick. Number 2, it's not even consistent of a gimmick. Why is it here? You know, it felt weird. What else is there? There's out of nowhere, there's this like weird side plot about random eggs of cats that like lay in a spaceship, and they become pivotal to rescuing all the people in the spaceship. And I have absolutely no idea how that ties into anything else in the movie. It just feels like it feels like it was basically that storyline was written and produced completely separately of the rest of the story. So I don't know what was going on there. I said there's a lame storyline about the Kree trying to restore their world. To me, yeah, it's just completely uninteresting. Maybe the best visual in this movie would be at the end when they're like on the dark Kree planet and the like sun shines through or something like that. That was cool. I like that visual at least. So maybe the storyline was worth it, but it was just incredibly boring. I said even Miss Marvel herself isn't anywhere near as charming as she was in the TV series. Oh, the post-credit scene with Beast was cool at least. Yeah, that's probably the best part of the movie when I got to the end. And you get the X-Men reveal, and it's like, oh my god, the X-Men are some multiverse thing is happening with them. How cool. All right. So at least that was redeeming about it. The singing planet. Yeah, basically at some point they go, this is a mess of a movie. They go to a bunch of different planets. One of the planets is a planet where people sing. And it turns out Captain Marvel, does she have a name? Surely she has a name, right? Captain, like in the actual universe. She has one. It's just not coming to me. I don't even know. I was going to call her by name, but I can't even remember it. All right. What a unmemorable movie. She basically is married to the king or the prince or someone on this planet, and then they have a dance scene and they sing, and it's like it's like a musical scene basically. And it was pretty good. I like that. It was like the only good scene in the movie where I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying watching this, you know. And I think it was only good because it was just so like starkly different from everything else in this movie. It felt out of place, and the weird out of place goofiness is kind of what worked about it. So I don't know. I guess that is a positive. The musical dancing scene with Captain Marvel, the only good scene. True. The cats were cute, and the idea of sucking up the people was good, but it feels like it comes out of nowhere and it doesn't feel connected to anything else at all. True. And I said, this is my big speculation here. I said, I feel like something had to have gone wrong with the production because it seems so disjointed, so awkward, doesn't feel like it has much of a climax at all, and the ending doesn't even feel like an ending. There's no interesting fights whatsoever. And then I said, maybe there weren't production issues, but maybe the director of this movie is just a really bad director. That's also possible. Or not, I guess they're not bad. It's just like the type of movie I like is not compatible with like the type of movies that they make. I don't know. Maybe that's possible. Let's see what else. Miss Marvel also gets a new costume at the end. I think they all do at the end, but Miss Marvel's the only one I really care about. And it looks silly. It's like just the worst version of the TV show suit. Like by the end of the TV show, she gets this really cool suit, and it's like, oh my god, this is awesome. And by the end of this movie, she gets one that looks really bad. So I don't know what happened there. It's crazy that even a costume design can go wrong in a Marvel movie because all the other costumes have been so great. I don't know why this one is so terrible. And I said, it's got to be the most boring MCU movie I've ever seen. And then I said, though I hardly remember Thor 2, and I hear that Thor 2 is very boring, so maybe that's worse. I don't know. It's been so long since I've seen it. But in my memory, this is the most boring and the worst MCU, potentially anything that I've seen. It's worse than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even though I dropped watching that. It's worse than She-Hulk, but I guess that's not too bad. That's just like the comedy didn't drive with me in that. It's bad. All right. I don't recommend this. This was legitimately a very bad movie. Worst one I've seen all year. I'm kind of excited to have one where I can confidently say that this was not a good movie. And it is The Marvels. Now, we go on to the second Marvel thing I watched this month, which is Loki Season 2. So this is a TV series. It's 6 episodes and started on the 5th of October and finished it on the 10th of November. So, this is a 2 out of 5, all right? I have talked extensively about this on my streams that I do every now and then, so check those out. But I could not possibly compile all my thoughts because I feel like I talk about it every stream. So I have a bunch of listed overall thoughts here, so let me go through them. Number 1, an unbelievably disappointing follow-up to the last season's cliffhanger. So last season of Loki, I loved, right? I thought it was really good. Like, it's up there with Ms. Marvel as like some of the best MCU in a very long time. And that ends on probably it does end on the highest note, which is the finale of season 1 is the best episode of Loki. You meet He Who Remains. That's actually, that's it. That just elevates that so much. The character of He Who Remains. Fantastic episode. The end of that episode ends on a cliffhanger, basically, where Loki gets thrown out of the place at the end of time, and he looks around. It looks like there's statues of Kang. Morbius doesn't recognize it, or Mobius doesn't recognize him. Jesus, not Morbius. And it's like, oh my god, Loki is in another universe, or another one of the like universes in the multiverse where Kang has already taken over. And it's like, oh my god, this is crazy. What are we gonna do next season? What a wild way to end it. And then the solution to this is to completely go a different direction entirely to, I guess, what was my speculation is what it turned out to be. I thought it was what happened, but no, it's just speculation. Loki didn't end up in another universe. He ended up in the past, which is just, it's just so boring. That's literally just it. Like, it completely feels pointless. I found no joy in this for him having this time travel plot, future and past, throughout this entire season. I found it, maybe I found it so uninteresting because I've seen so many time travel things that have done this concept like so much better, like a man lost in time, like getting trapped forward and backward or whatever. That it was just so uninteresting. And the worst part is that they take it seriously for the most part. We'll talk about the finale when we get there, but beyond the finale, they take this so seriously of Loki getting trapped in time and how it's like a crazy thing that it's happening. And they have the worst scene in this whole thing, which is that Loki erases himself. And then when we finally get to that episode in the future where we're seeing it from Loki erasing Loki's perspective, he puts so much emphasis on it. Like, I'm sorry, not he, the show puts so much emphasis on that scene. It's like, this is a big deal for Loki, the show and the character. And it's like, oh my god, time travel, isn't it crazy? We just created like a paradox, or maybe it's not a paradox. We did some crazy time travel thing. And it's like, no, that's not interesting. It's not original. I don't know why so much effort is like being put on the scene to make it seem important. Well, I don't know why Loki is like having a panic attack in this scene. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, the whole time travel thing of this season was terrible. I did not enjoy one bit of it. Anyway, I don't know if I even articulated why, but just in my mind, I'm like, geez, I love time travel things, by the way. So that it had everything going for it. All right. But no, it completely failed. Anyway, Loki is in another universe that has already been overtaken by a variant of He Who Remains. That's what I thought. Nope, turns out Loki just went back in time, and then he goes forward a little bit too. And it's like, he doesn't even go forward that much. He goes forward like a few days into the future where the loom is like blowing up. It's ridiculous. Anyway, every episode, second note here, every episode is worse than every episode from season 1 in terms of the world, story, and plot. The 2 seasons aren't even comparable, which I completely agree. However, the Victor Timely episode was great. So I think that's episode 3, where they basically spend an episode forgetting all the other boring plot elements of the loom and the time slips and all this boring stuff about other characters and Sylvie or whatever. They're all that boring stuff is left behind. And we spend an episode with He Who Remains, like a nice variant called Victor Timely, which you can see is the background image here. His introductory scene is fantastic. This episode was good. Like, I'd give this like a 3 or a 4, probably a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed this episode a lot. Yeah, and in terms of the world story plot, I thought it was really good. Like, the character of Miss Minutes is a big focus of that episode, and I really like Miss Minutes. And obviously Victor Timely, we'll get to that. I love him a lot. I guess I like the actor of him a lot, which is such a shame as to what's going to happen with him eventually. But anyway, yeah, I said it feels like a completely different show, season 2, basically, which I still stand by that. Anyway, that was the first thing. Second thing, I guess, the world story plot, worse. The third thing is that every episode is also visually worse and like visually directed, like the colors, everything is completely worse than season 1, except for the finale, which to me felt visually on par with the season 1 episode. To me, the finale felt like, oh my god, we're watching a season 1 thing. When Loki is like collecting all the branches of time and everything, I was like, this looks great. Other than that, all the directing of all the other episodes were, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not, I guess it is bland. There's no creativity. And like when I say that, I'm like, oh, obviously there's some creativity, people are putting effort into this. So it's not the creativity is the word I'm looking for. It's some other word where it's just not interesting to me. But when you compare it to season 1, like in my mind, when I say that, I'm like, did I ever really was season 1 just as bad? But then I think of like the first episode and how crazy, like the scene with Miss Minutes giving a backstory into the multiversal war, like that alone is such a cool idea, like directing idea to have it like show you a 2D animation of like a backstory in the style of like what could be like a Marvel animated show or something. It's fun. It's a cool visual idea of like a cool directing choice, I guess. You don't have to have it that way. You could just like have a character narrate the ideas, but no, you show it visually, and that's really interesting. I also think of like that planet where they crashed. I don't remember the details of like season 1, but it's like a purple planet where they're like trying to get from one place to the other, and it's just like so strikingly vibrant and cool, and like doesn't look like anything else in the show, like that kind of stuff. And obviously the final episode of season 1, which is like you get the whole of the land. What do you call it? The land at the end of the place at the end of time. And it's so cool. Like the fact that I think they like focus by like turning the actual camera when they're first showing the land at the thing at the end of time or something. It's like there's really cool directing things like that, which I can't possibly explain. If I made like a scripted video, I'd get all examples or whatever. But to me, it's just like season 2 is not comparable in terms of directing. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I'm being so like vague, or I'm so like I'm not substantiating anything I'm saying. So I don't know. Feel free to fight with me. I'm sure you probably could, because I'm just giving my opinions here and my thoughts. But anyway, time skipping. I already talked about this. Completely uninteresting mechanic introduced in the story. I was rolling my eyes at how the show portrays it as some revolutionary sci-fi concept, but when it embraced it in the final episode without worrying about any mechanics or anything, it was great. Yeah, the best part of this season was probably the final. I guess in regard to the time travel thing, the best part of this season is the first half of the final episode where Loki, the show, just stops taking the time travel thing seriously. Loki can just infinitely loop. You don't have to worry about the mechanics of like how this works or anything. And they just use it as a fun way of Loki being able to learn a bunch of stuff, and we get a bunch of funny scenes, where he is surprising all the people with all of his knowledge or something. It's cool. I like that. All right. The first half of the final episode was great because they didn't take it seriously. That was great. Next thing, the comedy was absolutely not my thing. The meta jokes about Mobius's jet ski it just makes me cringe so much. Season 1 of anything, he's always gonna have. I can't even make that general statement. My issue isn't with the comedy. My issue is with the fact that I know when I watched season 1, people were making jokes about Mobius. Why do I keep saying Morbius? Jesus. Even in my notes, I've written Morbius. Jesus Christ. And I know that like it became a meme, for instance, when I'm watching Blind Wave reaction videos where they're like, oh my god, when is Mobius going to get his jet ski? And it's like a meme that keeps repeating in the fandom that the show doesn't really bring up. As far as I remember, the show doesn't bring up the jet ski that many times. And the fact that season 2 immediately, I think immediately in episode 1, or maybe it's episode 2, they bring it up. And then obviously it becomes a big plot point at the end of this season where he's like in charge of a jet ski like place. And I'm like, this is so cringeworthy because maybe it is the plan all along to have this be like a character and plot element, but the fact that the fandom embraced it so much, it's kind of like the Morbius thing. And that wasn't like a misspeak. The actual Morbius thing, where it's like Morbius became a meme, and so the studio embraced the meme and created the Morbius movie. Like they re-released the Morbius movie, and that's like cringe because it's like you can't like embrace the meme like that. It's like, I mean, in that case, it kind of works because it's like it flopped, and it's like that's the extra funny thing where it's like they release it again and no one goes, and it's kind of funny. In this case, it's like you can't embrace the Mobius meme because then it's just like you're fulfilling like this weird cringe fan expectation joke meme thing, you know. I don't like it. And there are a lot of things like that. Like my other kind of criticism is that it feels like a lot of characters are kind of caricatures. And when I say a lot of characters, maybe it just is Mobius. Everything he does is banter. And then even the good stuff, which isn't banter, like his kids and stuff, is just so uninteresting. I don't know what to say. Just bad. And it's going to be so frustrating if you enjoy the show and you're listening to this, because I can't even explain why it's bad. I just say it's bad. So I'm sorry. I apologize to you, right? Yeah, this is my next point. Yeah, it suffers from caricaturization. It feels like Mobius, and I wrote Morbius again, became a caricature of what he was last season. It feels like the majority of his dialogue is just banter with Loki. There we go. True. And then second last, I guess. Jonathan Majors continues to be the best part of every MCU thing that he is possibly in. He is the best actor that I've ever seen in the MCU. I've enjoyed every single one of his performances. I would rank him to be... It's either him or it's Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Those are the two favorite performances in the MCU, without question. It's such a shame that he's not going to be there anymore. But yeah, basically I bring this up to say that Victor Timely was fantastic. He felt like a completely different character to He Who Remains, which is insane because it's like portrayed by the same person. And I thought it was really good. I love Victor. I like his little, I like his motor tick. Vocal tick. I like his, is it a vocal tick? I guess it's stuttering, even a vocal tick. He stutters and it's great. I like how he is kind of sneaky as well. Where his introductory scene, we see him with this loom, and initially you're like, oh my god, it's going to work, and then it does work, and then you find out that it's actually not going to work, and it's like a trick that he's trying to play on someone, and I guess it's not really a trick, is it? He's like trying to scam people, I guess, out of money. It's like I kind of like him. He's sneaky, and then he like drops Renslayer in the boat when because he doesn't want partners and stuff. Like I like him. I really like Victor Timely. And obviously we get He Who Remains again in the final episode. Like Jonathan Majors is just the best. Any scene he's in is like he steals the scene. It's great. But I feel like we're probably not going to get him for long because of how much of a brand risk he is. Anyway, let's see. Oh, yeah, so Victor Timely, best character of the season. Number 2 is Miss Minutes. Miss Minutes was great. We didn't get too much of her. We got her in the Victor Timely flashback episode. We got her a little bit in the like final few episodes, but she was great. Her jealousy of Renslayer, her desire to like have a body or be embodied, her love for like He Who Remains, and her trying to spite Victor Timely when she's being turned off and he's like, you'll never be him. I really like her a lot. She is great. She was a nothing character last season. Now she's a very interesting character. But other than that, I don't think I liked any of the other characters this season, but those two were great. And I guess my final note here, not my final, but another note here, I don't know why I keep saying final, which people will probably be shocked by. I said, I am shocked at how much people like Ouroboros. And then I said, or rather, I'm not shocked. He's a famous actor. He's quirky and silly. He squeals when he gets excited, which is funny, quirky, etc. And people like those characters. And to me, he's just like he's passable, you know? I can tolerate him. When I see him, I don't go like, oh god, another Mobius scene. I think, okay, Ouroboros is okay. But the amount of love I've seen for him is insane. It's like if I was to ask most people, I feel like who's your favorite character this season, a lot of people I imagine would say Ouroboros, and he was absolutely not that for me. to me he feels like a concept rather than a character, I guess. Like he feels like this is the smart knowledge base we have here who is quirky. And I don't feel like I know anything more about him that is like that makes him, I guess, an interesting character. I don't know. Then my actual final thing, I said, if there wasn't a reward of putting this on my media digest, I absolutely would have dropped this show. And I would have dropped it after episode 4, which was it was a mess of an episode, I think. Wait, what was it? I think it was the one where it ended on the loom failing, basically. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. That it just yeah, it was not interesting. Jesus Christ. But I'm kind of glad I watched it. You know, the finale was okay. Anyway, now for the actual episode notes. So episode 1, and I gave a brief description, which is that Loki was time slipping. We find out that that's what's happening. Now these notes, I probably should have tidied these up. Anyway, I'm just going to read them out. Oh no, they're doing the meme jet ski thing. Way too much humor. Whoa, the temporal loom is sick. That is true. The one like interesting sci-fi concept, or even just like sci-fi visual in this, besides like Loki grabbing the branches of time at the end, was the loom. It was kind of a cool idea where it's like, oh my god, it's like weaving together all the different timelines into a single sacred timeline. How cool. I like that. And the fact that like it can't cope with the branches is like too many. It's an interesting like visual or metaphor or whatever. I like that. I don't know if the show will hold up now that the mystery of He Who Remains and the TVA is gone. And I said the show was great because it was a mystery show. Maybe. That's a potential thing. I don't know if I'd still stand by that. Episode 2, where they chase down the actor guy and they torture him. This was also very boring. Interesting episode title is what I wrote, Breaking Bad. And that's because I wrote it at the beginning of the episode. Obviously, it's a reference. It has to be a reference to Breaking Bad, the TV show. But beyond that, there's absolutely no relation to Breaking Bad in the episode. I don't know. Breaking Bad is obviously referring to them torturing him, I guess, or breaking him down so they can get information out of him. So I don't know how this relates to Breaking Bad at all. Doesn't matter. Why are we wasting time on this chase sequence against this random guy? Yeah, so Brad, I guess, shows up suddenly out of nowhere. And he's like suddenly important and we're chasing him and like we're wasting a lot of time when like the loom is being destroyed and the whole of creation is going to disappear, chasing this random guy. And I'm like, this is a bit weird. Then I said, what a weird, boring episode. Way too much cringe comedy. Absolutely. And I said, what happened to this show? Was it ever good or was it only good because of the mystery? I think it was actually good. I've rewatched some reactions. I really enjoy season 1. Victor Timely episode. So this is episode 3. The Kang or the He Who Remains backstory is really cool. It's like a loop of knowledge where it's like, if he gets destroyed, it's going to send back the knowledge to the guy and create himself. You know, what a cool idea. Episode 3 is so much better than the first 2, but it feels very distinct from the visual language of last season. True. It does. It feels like its own kind of show, right? Like episode 3 doesn't feel like anything else that's been in this season or this show. It feels like a completely different team did it, I guess. But I thought it was pretty good. Kang is the best. In this case, He Who Remains is the best. What is Sylvie's logic here? Yeah, Sylvie's logic is just, I don't even think about Sylvie. Jeez, I wrote Sylvie because of Mushoku Tensei. I don't even think much about Sylvie because like she's completely uninteresting. Like I truly don't understand. She doesn't like the TVA because they ruined her life basically. So she's okay with ending all of creation, I guess. I don't really understand. It's a bit weird. Maybe I've just misinterpreted something. I don't know. Anyway, the Miss Minute CGI is insane. It looks so good. True. Jesus, sorry. Miss Minutes' jealousy is great. I wonder what makes this variant of Kang evil, or maybe he never does become evil. Yeah, I guess the most interesting thing this season is the fact that Victor Timely never does become evil. Like, I was pretty sure he was going to turn evil, or like when he steps outside the safety of the TVA into that little bridge, I'm like, oh my god, this is when he finally turns evil. But no, not at all. That's an interesting subversion, at least. It's a 2 out of 5, right? This Loki, it's not a 1 out of 5. It's no The Marvels. Oh, he kicked Renslayer out because he doesn't have partners. He wants agency to be respected, to be his own man. I like it a lot. True. See, Victor Timely actually got some characterization, you know? I like that. Is Renslayer? Oh, yeah, this Victor episode ends on a cliffhanger, where at the end, Renslayer gets sent to the He Who Remains place, which was an incredibly dumb move by Sylvie and made no sense at all. Yeah, it's not only is it a dumb move, but it makes her come across as an incredibly dumb character as well. Like not dumb as in like, oh, badly written. Dumb as in her IQ is low. Like, why would you send this person to the like most important place in all of time. I don't know. It is what it is anyway. What was I saying? Was I saying anything? Oh yeah, so it ends on a cliffhanger where Miss Minutes is like, "Oh, hey, I know one secret about you. It's and you're not gonna like it." And yeah, my theory was, oh my god, what if she is a Kang variant, like a He Remains variant? That's gonna be really cool. But no, we find out that she was just an important person in He Remains his army, and her memory was erased. I'm like, huh, what an incredibly boring reveal. And yeah, like I guess He Remains isn't very nuanced at all. You know, he's just like he led the army and now he wiped everyone's memory. And I'm like, okay, that's it's okay, it's fine, serviceable. But yeah, Renslayer is an incredibly boring character. When I watch reactions to season 1, the final episode, there's a scene with her and Mobius. I just skip it because I'm like, damn, this is one of the most boring scenes ever. I don't like Renslayer at all. Anyway, so episode 4. And yeah, this is the one that made me drop it. So let's see what happens here if I remember. So I said an absolute mess of an episode where they try and fix the loom and fail. True. Said this might be the worst episode of the MCU. Renslayer being so important is really boring. The fact that there's Kang statues and it's not because Loki is in another universe means that He Remains made them and has a big ego, or he had a big ego. Like, yeah, like why would he decorate places with his statue? It's just like, what a weird, like, I guess it implies a little bit about his character, but it's just not an interesting element of his character. I don't know what to say. Who the fuck cares if the TVA is a good or bad thing? I don't care about this storyline at all, basically. Yeah. Lamau Renslayer just opens a door and returns to the TVA. Lamau, what is this show? Yeah. Sylvie sends her there. A few minutes later, she just leaves. And it's just like, really? Like, it feels like I just witnessed like a plot convenience. And I rarely say that. Like, it's like the writers were like, we need her to go here to see something. And then we need her to leave. And it's like, oh, why don't we get Sylvie to send her there? And then she uses her temp pad to get back. And it's like, whoa, that's crazy. What a great idea. Anyway. Lamau, they're making a big deal out of Loki being the one who erased himself. Yeah, this scene, it's the most obvious and uninteresting thing. Why did it even matter that Loki erased himself? Why is it such a big moment? I have no idea. I thought maybe by the end of the season, I'd like, there'd be some context and it'd be more interesting. No, absolutely not. They did not make it any more interesting. Lamau, the mocking isn't necessary when Miss Minutes is stuttering when she's being shut down and Victor Timely is watching her. True, that was a pretty good gag. And then this really cool concept, which is that when Miss Minutes is getting shut down, the CGI of her, like the actual her visualization, her like GUI or whatever, turns into an analog clock. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. You know, what a genius idea. Then what a silly idea. Oh, yeah, this was me being wrong here, but I wrote that what a silly idea to let Timely be the one to go and fix the loom. This is obviously how he becomes a dangerous Kang variant, or even He Remains himself, which I was wrong about, so I'm pleasantly surprised that they at least did surprise me there. Then the show really feels like it's becoming incredibly generic this season. I've gone back and rewatched some scenes from season 1, and it felt so unique, interesting, and wonderful. And not wonderful as in like pleasant, like wonderful. Like there was so much wonder in that season. For example, and then I use the example here, the Multiversal War like flashback. There's nothing unique kind of like that in this season, which is very bland. Keep in mind, this was all written before the finale, which I think itself was very cool. Like there were a lot of cool visuals and concepts in that finale. Episode 5, second last episode. So we're going around and they're collecting the crew in time. So this is the typical MCU. I don't know why they do this in all their shows. I guess Disney kind of does this in all their shows, where it's like, second last episode, we got to do something weird. It's like different than all the other episodes. So this one we spend going back in time and collecting all the characters. Ms. Marvel did something like this as well, which was like going back in time and seeing the partition. What else was there? I feel like there's a bunch of others too. She-Hulk was completely different. It was like a procedural thing. But I think they initially were planning to do it like that because they were going to have the flashback to the Hulk and her, like how she got her powers, be in the second last episode as well. So I guess they were planning that too. It's like some weird formula they have. I don't know why. Anyway, so that was this episode. I said, great, more time slipping. The most boring thing to ever be introduced in this show. True. I swear to God, we better not be getting all the characters to be being sent before 2023. Show us the future for once. All of an infinite timeline, and we just happen to be sent in this same 60-year period. And then I said, or maybe their original time placement was there, which is equally as boring. Yeah, just like it's something I hate with all like time travel things, which is just like try and go a little bit into the future. Like that's one thing I appreciate about Dark. Without giving spoilers, that there's like a future thing they show, and it's like, well, that's really cool, you know, at least we see a vision of like the future. a lot of time travel thing is just like, we only go in the past because we don't want to imagine what the future's like. And it's like, Jesus, can't we just, it's Loki, it's the MCU, you can do anything. Like, you have Asgard, why can't you just do something like that and make it like the future of Earth or something? I don't know, boring. Anyway, at least we get a decently okay scene with Loki saying he wants his friends back, a decent scene surrounded by a pile of shit. True. And then I made this amazing connection, which I haven't seen before. So I feel like I'm really, what do you call it? Finding new ground or something, or digging new dirt. I don't know what it is. Loki season 2 is the Umbrella Academy, but without a soul. Like, you're seeing these characters. They're like traveling through time. You know, they're trying to prevent the apocalypse, but it's like all the characters are incredibly boring. There's no fun scenes. It's the Umbrella Academy, but worse. And when I made that connection, I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. No wonder I don't like this show. I feel like I've seen it before, but done better. Anyway, episode 6. This was the finale. So I thought this was pretty good. All right. So the description here: Loki has a Groundhog Day thing. He chats with Hugh Remains, and he becomes a timekeeper basically by the end of this. So great premise about doing the scene over and over. True, you know, I said this before, but as soon as they stop taking it seriously and they're like, let's have some fun, let's have Loki spend thousands of years like learning something and like do like a Groundhog Day scene where it's like he keeps surprising people. Like, this is fun. I like this, you know, fun. Great premise, great execution. Liked it at the beginning of this episode. It's so much better that the show is trying to be fun rather than serious about this time slipping ability. True. I love how Victor is able to determine why the loom isn't working, even after Loki has lived for thousands and thousands of years. Yeah, I thought that was really cool, because it's like, we still need Victor or He Remains to be special, because it's like he is one in like an infinite number. Because I mean, I was going to say 1 in a billion, but I said 1 in infinite. That doesn't make sense for the analogy I'm trying to say. I'm basically trying to say he is the man who discovers the multiverse. He is meant to be like the most formidable intellect or whatever. It's like he's a crazy scientist. And if you were to have Loki kind of get to his level, and now He Remains has nothing more to share in Victor Timely, then it's kind of like, oh, I guess Victor wasn't that special after all, if Loki can just learn everything he knows. But no, the loom fails, and Loki can't figure out why, but Victor knows, even though Victor hasn't spent those thousands of years seeing it fail. So I thought that was really cool. I like that little small like character element. So what are He Remains' motivations? Does he still want to retire? Yeah, I really liked the He Remains scene in this. It was great. It's great that he was holding back abilities last season, that he could just pause time whenever he wants. It was cool that he kind of knows what's going on with Loki. Like, he's aware, he pauses time and has a chat with him. I thought that was really cool. But the one thing I don't understand is what he wants. I guess I enjoyed the scene, but placing it in the larger context of the show and his motivations, I guess I just didn't understand it really. Like, does he want to still retire like he did last season, or was that a lie? Does he want to stay in power? Was he actually happy that the sacred timeline ended, or does he want to keep the sacred timeline in place? Like, I guess I think I understand him less now than I did before, so I don't know. And it's also like tying in with the fact that he has those statues. Like, he's an egotistical person, obviously, so I don't know how that ties into anything. Anyway, whoa, the visual of the tree that has that is the multiverse was really cool. Yeah, true. The loom was a cool visual, but a tree I think is equally as cool. I thought that was really cool, where it's like, this is our multiverse. Like, my God, all these different timelines. That was awesome. And I've said it a few times, just the scene of Loki, like, collecting all the timelines, giving them life or whatever. I don't know what he's doing. He's like controlling them or something. It was great. Cool visual, cool story. I liked it. Then we get some wrap up. So the TVA is still on top of the Kang variants at this point. So they're tracking them, and they know that none of them have been made aware of the TVA. And to me, this is like weird, because that means that like it kind of undermines the power and the threat of like Kang or He Remains, because it's like, oh, I guess they're still under the TVA's control, Kang that is, until I guess Loki season 3, which who knows if that's ever coming, or maybe these characters are going to be forgotten and not relevant to the movies, or maybe they'll actually show up in the movies, and I don't know. It's a weird thing to still have them on top of the Kang variants. It's like a weird place to put this right at the end of this. I guess the Renslayer implication is like basically what happened at the end of the season is that she was pruned by the enchanted actor guy, and got sent to Eliath, and Loki is okay with her dying, so he didn't actually go back and save her or anything. True. All the character wrap-ups with the people at the TVA is incredibly boring, especially the Mobius stuff. True, I hated Mobius this season, everything about him. This finale was the only episode that truly felt like a season 1 episode, both in terms of sci-fi elements and production quality, and I completely stand by that. And then finally, naming the final episode Glorious Purpose, which is the name of the first episode in season 1, was really cool, because it's like, Loki found his glorious purpose, and it's also like tying up the time loop concept that this season was like meant to execute, but completely failed at. But I like the name, I like the ambition of like, let's name it Glorious Purpose, not the ambition, I guess, just the idea to have that. It was cool. Anyway, that was my terribly long and probably incoherent and unjustified rant about Loki season 2. But that's it. So now we have the 2023 ranking so far, excluding all the rewatches. We've got right in number 4, right behind Yee 2000. We have the Attack on Titan Special 2. Legitimately great. All the way down on the other end, right at the top of the 2 out of 5s, we've got Loki season 2. And the worst thing I have seen all year, the most boring, the least interesting, the Marvels, all the way down at 1 out of 5. So yeah. Now I also have one video that I want to talk about. And this is a video by the great Jarkey Bacon. The greatest Attack on Titan episode you forgot. Jarkey Bacon, 8 minutes. Currently it has 1.4k views, but who knows when this is going to blow up, maybe one day, maybe when Attack on Titan Requiem, the anime comes out, it'll get blown up. Maybe when the next final volume comes up, who knows, anything's possible. So this was a video as part of something that Jarkey Bacon organized, which was Attack on Titan's Finest. And it's a collaboration between me and Bacon, I guess, technically, because we're the only two who made videos about our favorite, or not even our favorite, just like a particular, making videos about a particular chapter or video. Jesus Christ. Loki messed my mind up. A particular chapter or episode of Attack on Titan. And I chose chapter 6, chapter 9, or episode whatever, which is like the beating of a heart can be heard. And Jarkey Bacon chose the Night of the Battle to retake the wall, which is basically the last episode before the Return to Shiganshina arc. And I think it's a good choice. But overall, I really like this video. It's a great video. Before I look at my notes, let me think. Let's see. It's split into 2 parts. I mean, there's a few different parts, but there's like 2 bits, which is like the actual scripting bit, and there's this music bit. The music bit is great. It works really well. It actually got to me emotionally, which is what you want. I like the transition of like, I'm willing to bet your heart didn't, or something. I'm like, oh, that's cute. The use of dub footage I thought was great. I know a lot of people have issues with that, but I liked it. I think it worked really well. Script was great. I had one, I think I probably have this in my notes, but I had a massive revelation watching this, and I left a comment about it, which I can't believe I'd never realized before, which is that Bacon brings up the fact that this is the last moment where the characters have their innocence still. Eren hasn't been, he doesn't, the next day, literally the next day is when Eren loses his mind. He kisses Historia's hand, he sees the future, and everything is like lost to him. It's like he's a completely different person now, and he's lost all his innocence, and he's forever changed, as Bacon says it. All these characters are forever changed. I guess I really like that motif of like using that like phrasing. It's a cool narrative thing to kind of repeat the same phrase throughout the video. It sticks with you, yeah, that would like struck me when I was watching this, where I'm like, oh man, that actually kind of, it sucks. And it like in a good way, and it gets to you emotionally. So I thought that was great, even just for that point, I love this video. Anyway, let me actually read my notes here. So Attack on Titan's Event Horizon. Yeah, even referring to this as the Event Horizon, like the point of no return. It's a great framing, great thumbnail. He uses this like he actually says Event Horizon throughout this, like in this video at one point. It works very well. Anyway, let's see. Visually, the notes, using a filter over the footage. I assume it's like a filter or some like adding noise and like crackling or something. I don't know what you call it, but it looked great. The aspect ratio is also different, which I think works really well. It's like such a small thing I've noticed, which is that anytime like an anime like changes the aspect ratio or anything, it always works. It's always effective. I've never seen that happen and be like, oh, that was lame. Why'd they do that? So maybe all videos should be like in weird aspect ratios, maybe it's a good idea. Who knows? Other thing is the great music choice. I'm going to try and like stretch my brain. The one thing I remember out the music choice is that the first song I think was using the song of when they're actually at Mali and they're like drinking and stuff. I think that was the song here, and it's kind of like an emotional, it works really well. I thought all the music works in this. Like Bacon is good at transitioning between parts of the script, like going from part 1 to like idea 2 and idea 3 or whatever, changing the music and making it feel like a separate section in a relatively short video, 8 minutes long, Jesus Christ. It works well. Anyway, there's a neat, the one of the final visuals here, which is that when he's talking about is basically talking, and what the visually showing on screen about like the episode is the single like small panel of the actual episode. And as he zooms into it with like a 3D camera or something, you have all these other like memories from the actual show coming up and flashing in and flashing out. And while he's talking about like the how much has happened in the show and all that, it's great. It's a very neat visual thing. I like it a lot. However, I do have one criticism for the great Jarkey Bacon, which is that at the end, the music is way too loud. I had to turn it down. And even in all my rewatches, it always surprises me when I rewatch this video, and at the end, it's like so loud, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to put this down. Yeah. Like I like the music thing at the end, like it actually works very well, but it's like a drastic transition in volume from the actual talking to the actual music at the end. Anyway. Now, for the content, I talked about this. I said I left a comment, but thinking about how this is the last moment Aaron and his friends genuinely spend together before he kisses Historia's hand is wild. The last hopeful moment these characters have together. And then I said, Bacon, what is this? Bacon makes a point about how this is Attack on Titan's strength. Knowing what happens after this point makes us view the scene very differently on subsequent watch-throughs. True. That is an interesting thing he brought up here. And it is truly... It is quite unique to Attack on Titan. Like he mentions this throughout the video, where it's like Attack on Titan is great at recontextualization, and it truly is. Yeah. The final section of the script talking about it being Attack on Titan's event horizon, and then zooming into the clip from the episode. I guess what I talked about before, and the other clips around it, is like the climax of the video, and it transitions perfectly into the music after it. True. Then I said, I think, oh yeah, this is probably my one bit of actual feedback besides the music thing, which is pretty obvious. I think the intro needs to be more like bombastic or something. With this particular video, like I know in Bacon, when I think of like not even bombastic, when I think of a good intro to a video, I think of the Vinland's Finest video that Bacon made, which is like, it's musical. It's got like, I don't know if it's drums, it's got like some instrument in the background, which is like memorable and loud, and it feels like an intro to something. In this video, it's very subdued, and it's like, what is Attack on Titan's greatest moment? And it's like quiet, and it doesn't like grab my attention. I feel like you probably need some like louder music or something. I don't know what it is. Like I'm sure Bacon can figure this out better than I ever could. But it doesn't grip me, I guess, at the beginning. And I think it's because of the production rather than the actual script. Like I feel like there's something you could probably do to make it more gripping from a like visual or audio perspective. I don't know. Anyway, that's my, I have one final note, which is actually it's pronounced Shiganshina, not Shinganshina, as Bacon says in this video. Can't believe it. How could he make that mistake that so many people make, which I'm greatly frustrated by it, right? If you're watching this, I'm sure you're watching this, Bacon, Shiganshina, say it 5 times, right? There's no N in Shiganshina. Well, I guess there is, but not this first one. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, that's Jarkey Bacon's video. Great video. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Does it spoil Attack on Titan? I don't know if it spoils the ending. Well, watch it. Go watch it anyway, all right? It's great. Great video. That's that. The shortest digest so far. I imagine it's probably shorter than the first one I ever did. I didn't watch any movies like I said I would, but don't worry, there's still 1 more month left in the year. Maybe it'll happen. But yeah, thanks for watching.